Om Arunachala Shiva. How does the practice of Maha Yoga, the path of Atma Vichara, is different from that of all the practices of meditation, Raja Yoga and such yogic practices. Meditation and all other such yogic practices, they use an object as the goal of meditation. We remain as the subject, and there is always the object, which is the object of meditation, to be focused to attain the goal. So all the practices of meditation, various kinds of yogic practices, they all necessarily involve an object or the focus point for the practice. In the case of Maha Yoga, the path of Atma Vichara, it is the subject on which the focus or attention is given. We always remain as the subject. We, the seer, the person who is doing the practice, is the subject, and the goal or the object of meditation is the object here. So in the case of Maha Yoga, what is happening is, we are not focusing our attention on an external object, nor do we focus on the any kinds of chakras, sounds or such things. We basically focus our attention on the source of mind, the source of thoughts, which is basically the existence awareness or the inner consciousness. This is the major difference. So in terms of all the practices of meditation, they involve an object to be the goal of meditation. Whereas in the case of Maha Yoga, there is no such object in the practice which is involved. It is the subject, which is the source of mind, on which we keep our attention. So all the practices of meditation and such yogic practices, they involve both the subject and object. Whereas with the practices of Maha Yoga, there is only the subject and there is no object which is involved in this practice. We directly focus our attention on the source of the mind, which is the inner consciousness, the existence awareness, aham. This is the major difference. Here in the path of Maha Yoga, the path itself is the goal. So this makes this practice the highest level of practice, wherein we actually practice the state of Sahaja Sthiti, the state of being in awareness, natural state. Here we don't strive to attain something, rather we remain in the state of Sahaja Sthiti. Here it is not a process of doing, but it is a process of being in awareness. When we say the path itself is the goal, what it means is that since the practice is about being in the state of Sahaja Sthiti, the natural state, which of course happens with some lapses off and on during the practice. So with effort, we abide in the state of Sahaja Sthiti. When the practice becomes effortless, then it is called realization. So in essence, the practice itself is the goal. The difference being, now we are doing with effort. When the practice becomes so effortless, then basically we can infer that we have kind of completely gone beyond the mind, the vasanas, thoughts, etc. So the practice of Maha Yoga itself is being in the state of Sahaja Sthiti, the natural state, and the goal is also being in state of Sahaja Sthiti. The only difference being the goal, once we reach the goal, then it will be effortless, or rather when the practice becomes effortless, then basically we can infer that there won't be any need for further effort to remain in that state. This is the greatness of the path of Maha Yoga, as revealed in recent times by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Bhagavan used to say that the sadhana of the sadhak is the Sahaja state of the Siddha, which basically means during the stage of practice, it involves effort, and once it becomes effortless, then it means we have attained the final state of realization, Siddha. So what then is the kind of prerequisite for anyone to be able to practice this path of Maha Yoga? Passion and earnestness. These two are the sole requirements for anyone to be able to develop a deep understanding and fluency in the practice. No other requirements, because anyone who has that kind of earnestness and a deep passion to understand this particular path and to practice in itself will bring in all the required, all the needed focus and attention on the practice. So being able to practice Maha Yoga in itself is the highest blessings of the Supreme, and being able to practice Maha Yoga in itself is a clear indication that we are on the highway to abide in the state of Atmanishta. Om Arunachala Shiva. Jai Jai Shankara, Har Har Shankara.